And then that should be good for me. All right. Hello, everyone. It's been a while. Long time no see. Thanks for those of you who are here. And hopefully we'll be picking up a couple more people as the stream continues. Yeah, it was an accidental, basically month off of streaming. But I'm excited to be back and should be back for most of the summer. I think I have one more planned Friday away for Philly NANPC event. That's in a couple of weeks. But when I saw that Jai had won APAC and published this great ASA group, I was like, oh, that's great. I love ASA. I've never played like that much Hollow Man in the current meta. And then I saw that Jai had put replays for every single one of his games, which was fantastic. I reached out to Jai and was like, hey, I kind of want to look at these. Would you mind if I did them on a stream? And he was like, or like, do you have any content planned for these? He's like, not necessarily. And I was like, well, fantastic. I'd love to go through these. So I think my plan for today is probably just to run through these. And I want to try and figure out like, hey, in this meta where the main threats are World Tree Arasana, Big Rig Hosh, and like a smattering of Crim. Actually, we should probably open up the APAC Always Be Running so we can look at that. Like, how did just Reg Asa pull it out? And where is our Reg Asa winner? So this field was 20% Hosh, 15% Ari, 8th Kit, and then an 8th Sable. And top cut was mostly Hosh and Ari. They both up converted and everyone else down converted. And PD and Asa kind of really pushed ahead, which is interesting. It's Asa is one of those decks where or PD, I mean, is one of those decks where I could see why World Tree struggles. I'm kind of starting to think that that other versions of Ari are going to struggle less, but okay. Oh, and awesome. We might be able to actually have Jai join us, which would be the best possible of all worlds. Hey, Andre, I hope your other engagement goes well while I struggle with the login form. Let me get my Jinteki.net logins going. And I'm going to have to re-click on all these links. Let's see. Hey, Crush, you long time no see. I hope you're doing well. All right, so we're going to go back and reload things. Okay, so here we have... Oh, this is... Okay, wait, this is not what I want. This is... Wait, did he just not have a round 1 replay? Weird. Okay, so we want the round 3 Asa game. Hey, Lord Helix. All right. So this is versus 419. This is I generally think of as a somewhat tricky matchup. You know what? I should also... Hold on. Let's get the deck list up, because I probably should talk about this deck list a bit more, and also see if Jai have my thing open so Jai can ping me. So okay, let's talk about this. Agenda suite, completely standard. One biotic labor. I actually think this is a great call. I think it's something that I should be including more. It's just a really nice, especially with wage workers. It allows you to score basically everything but the Ikawa out of hand, which is such a nice little ability. And Tomb of Virus means you're not as worried about Clot anyway. So I look at this and I'm just like, oh man, this is so clearly correct. So the 2 wage workers instead of 3 is clearly correct, and I'm like, was I still insisting on running 3 in my old decks? I feel like I may have been. It's just often that you want this effect, but you don't need it immediately in every game. And I would imagine that wage workers basically becomes the Tranquility home grid, which is just a very nice swap. The Holomans, I'm probably still going to prefer... Well, let's watch these replays. the Hollow Man is a very nice scoring threat. Hey, Supernaut. Um, the ice looks right. I'm always a little skeptical about Tatupola, but we'll see how much weight it pulls. It has two different ways to be really good here, right? Both as an econ piece and then also for shenanigans TM. Three gatekeepers and a magnet sounds right. I could personally, I would probably be playing an MIC over this magnet. I've just not been that impressed again with magnet, though it is starting to gain some utility against the RA decks that are leaning so heavily on Physarum Entanglers. So, all good stuff. Sentry Suite makes sense. Like, this is just a list that looks nice. The Powers That Be, I'm going to be very interested to see how it performs. I got off of it pretty quickly after the card release, but there's a lot of possibilities there. Okay, so we're going to watch this as Jai. What do I think about Hagen right now? I'm not super high on it. I think Cleaver just gets in its face a little bit too quickly. And like Ablative Barrier, as Jai talks about, is just really good in this list. You get to threat 3 pretty quickly one way or the other. And then Ablative just makes a lot of headaches for the runner. Like, if I want a taxing barrier, like, I can pay 2 more for Bran and just have a inherently quite taxing ice. Hagen, like, I don't know, Hagen's really interesting where it seems like it should be good. There's so many non-icebreaker programs going around, but I've not been that impressed with it, really. But, I don't know. Okay, let's talk about this mulligan. I think probably because you're worried about inside job, and this is, well, no, this is just a pretty slow hand. So, like, I think this is a playable hand. Yeah, Andre, it's definitely nice against Tree early, but only if Tree is forced to run into it, right? Like, World Tree decks have so many tricks. I have a hard time, like, it's a little bit hard to figure out if one ice isn't, like, I don't feel like having a single piece of ice as your Tree tech makes sense, because their whole deck is about blanking like entire servers, right? But ice as World Tree tech just generically is good, and so then the question is like, how much are you getting out of those extra 2 credits over, say, the Ablative Barrier? Okay. So this mulligan, I think honestly this is a mulligan into a significantly worse hand. We're going to see how Jai plays this. Okay, well, the hand basically gets saved here, I think. Because I think this is just Rashida behind a Gatekeeper on HQ, click for a credit, and you're pretty happy. But no, Jai goes for a different line. I like having the extra credit here, because it actually makes, especially in a closed decklist event, let me know if the audio gets a little funky. My headphones just decided they need to restart. Because now we're not representing MIC, and so, like, I kind of like that line more. I guess the threat is you now don't know which of these is the Rashida, so you're a little more resistant to Pinhole, which is maybe a fair trade to take. Amakua coming down is actually quite tough. It makes these Gatekeepers some of the most interesting reses in the entire game, probably. Because Gatekeeper is such a liability. I mean, it's maybe not a liability, but it's tough, right? It is tough to res a Gatekeeper if it's not, like, winning you a lot of tempo on the spot, because it's basically going to be fairly blank after that. But, Jai, I don't think I'm going to be finding a lot of faults with Jai's play. I think this is going to be more about me trying to understand it. So if I look at this, the things I'm looking to do, probably just build a Drafter Spin Doctor remote, and then, like, Brand Nico campaign in server 1. Feels a little bit slow. Can we do the off-world Drafter Advance and click for a credit? That's a line I'd be thinking about here. So we're showing a Nico campaign behind a brand. I think that's not unreasonable. And then just icing up, getting a Spin Doctor on the table, just saying there's not going to be HQ runs. I wonder. I feel like you can res. I guess so. You either res one of the two of these cards. I'm guessing you just res the Spin Doctor and let him trash. Because he's gonna trash one of the two of them, so he doesn't get the Amakua counter. And that's like a turn where you can't res the Gatekeeper, which is really interesting. The Mavirus draw is quite nice, though. So we're making some credits. I almost wonder if this is the turn now where you can go off-world Manic Arm. So you do like, what you actually do is you go off-world Mavirus, or sorry, Manic Arm Mavirus, install the off-world Advance, I think. And that seems okay. But no, we're going even slower. We are trying to build up a board before we push. Which is like, this is Jai playing this very differently than I would, and given that I did not win APAC, probably correctly. Okay, so we're clicking to draw, because I think we're looking for some ice to try and make server 1 a proper scoring server, especially with Shibboleth on the table. We're going to... okay, yep, make a scoring remote. So this is a Mavirus, and now we have Hollow Man, Manic Arm. Okay, this is really, really interesting. And then here comes a Bones. And then we want the Brand. Brand is very nice. And then Spin Doctor trashed, not popped. Interesting. Why would we trash the Spin Doctor here? Oh, we're using the Spin Doctor for Rashida and Spin. That's an interesting one. I can't think of a good reason, or I can't think of the reason off the top of my head. I guess we want to draw ice would be the best reasoning I have for this. Which is like a reasonable one. Okay, so now we can go hedge fund and build up the server. I never like this install order. I guess you can show a drafter. Jai is actually doing a very good job of managing the 419. Yep, Gatekeeper has to come down here. We're shuffling back just one Project Vitruvius. That actually feels about right. Oh, keep them in the bin for ablative tricks. Thank you, That's No One. That's a great shout out. Oh, I mean, this is why I'm not top 8ing any events this year, I think. To get back to Eric's question quickly, Jeff, what do you think about the popularity of World Tree Ari online versus in-paper tournaments? Do you think JNet is making two different metas? Probably. I think that World Tree Ari seems to be the best deck. I don't think it's a very strong seems, or like I don't know that you can say that with a ton of confidence, but at the same time, it took what, first, fourth, and fifth, and maybe even sixth at APAC. Yeah, and that's a pretty good result. And then it did pretty well the week before. So, and like I do think World Tree Ari is playable in person. Jonas played it at NANPC Boston and was saying like this deck is really good. And I think like he has a lot more leverage to say that he was on it before it was cool. Not saying he invented it, but was on it before it's cool. And I think he had one game go to time, but like it's playable. It's just a big demand. I would not be surprised. Like, I don't know. It's a deck that I think like throws a lot of warning signs and sirens and stuff. But I also think this is something I've been thinking about, where when I watch JNet replays, I often feel like I'm seeing mistakes that I don't feel like I see in in-person play. And I don't know if that, I think there's a couple of different factors that could be playing into that. One, I think for online play, the information is more immediately visible, so it's easier to assess board states quickly. Two, we often actually just have more info than we do with in person, so it's easier to call something a mistake. But there is part of me that wonders if there is like a play style difference between how people play in person and online, and like deck choices like World Tree are would be like an exacerbating thing. Eric, I know they've sold over 110 tickets. I don't know what the final attendance is going to be, which actually might make EMEA the largest of all three continentals, which is like pretty cool, I think. Um, Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm honestly Etienne has knocked the event out of the park. I've been so impressed by all the work they've put in. So huge shout outs to them. There's so many cool things they've done with this event. I think they're gonna have like someone from the NSG art team do a little like presentation on the process of part of the art and stuff, which is quite cool. Um, There were 80 plus today at the team tourney. That's sick. Okay, so we're going to reveal two Vitruviuses to get down to just two agendas in hand. That seems good. Um, okay, we immediately draw another Ikoa. This is like, this is cursed. Um, please tell me we're going to get the powers to be down. Please tell me we're going to get the powers to be down. Okay, so from my perspective here, I really want to have gone the powers that be drafter here. And Jai, the single biggest factor contributing to World Tree viability online is Cyber Feeder, no cap. Anyone can memorize a deck list, but heap ordering is critical. That's interesting. I guess I. Yeah, I guess it does help. Like, no, not saying I guess it does help. It clearly is a huge help. Um, what Cyberfeeder does, I don't think I have it enabled, but Cyberfeeder will reorder your heap. I forget if it does it alphabetically or by type, but it will let you quickly, at a glance, figure out what's in your bin. Now, I think in person, that's a totally doable thing. I also, my suspicion, having played a lot of chaining obelisks, is that if you have to play this in person, you just start building this mental model of here's the chains that exist in my deck alphabetically when you hold control. Thank you. I wonder if okay, it's not doing that in this replay, but that could be for a variety of reasons. Um, okay, but from playing op, there was a series of chains you frequently did, and so you only have to check the contents of your archives periodically, and you could generally have an idea of what was left in the deck. I suspect you can get there grinding World Tree Ari, but I haven't grinded it yet. And like remembering all the contents of a 60 card deck versus all the contents of a 49 card deck is pretty different. But also, like, there's a part of me that goes like, there are people that play 100 card singleton formats and know what's in their deck, right? Or like that is clearly going to be a skill that some of them have. And so I go back and forth on the value of that. I am definitely a little bit. I'm kind of curious with the powers that be. If we're worried, like I'm not that worried about a single on R&D because we'll have basically 4 of the 11 agendas 4 of the 9 agendas in hand or in score areas. So I'm kind of tempted to do something like a powers that be behind an ant cell, score the off-world office, and put the drafter on HQ just to close down HQ. If the R&D ice gets bounced, I guess the HQ ice just gets bounced there. That's a reasonable reason to be conservative with the powers that be. I could also see just powers that being installing the Rashida into server 2 so that you actually get the Rashida bounce because you can kind of guarantee it. But Jai goes for this line that just lets him put back another off-world, which is yet another very reasonable line. The Ikoa discard is really spicy. I like it quite a bit. And this is a thing I'm starting to try and mix into my play a little bit more, is just discarding agendas when it doesn't make sense for the opponent to run archives. And Mavirus goes, Drafter hits, Spin Doctor gets added to hand, and Rashida gets installed in the remote. Pinhole threading. Are we gonna trash the Rashida? I wonder if it's actually correct to trash the Hollow Man there. It's an interesting option for Bosley, right? Let Jai have the tempo, but you stop the score, and that's maybe the more important thing to deal with this turn. Because, yeah, this off-world office is just ticking. Oh, hey, Jai. Yeah, let's have you hop on in. All right, I'll give you... Hello. Let's see.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jai. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for letting me do this replay review.
Oh yeah, of course. No problem. I mean, information is out there in the world for a reason. Yeah.
Great. Let me do. I can share my screen so that you have a different lag than the Twitch lag or super echo.
Yeah.
People say. Oh, I see where the super echo is coming from. Wait, that's so weird that it's coming from there. I don't know. I'm so confused as to why it's coming from there, but it should be all set now. Joe, if you want to say something just so I can test to make sure I've actually solved it.
All right, testing. I've discovered an Ikoa project.
Fantastic. Why the heck? I don't know why that's echoing. Oh, I know why that's echoing. Okay, cool. Great. All right, so yeah, you were saying Basley said after the game he thought he could that he missed that you could score out with this Hollow Man, which I guess makes some sense. There's a lot to keep track of in the game of Netrunner, so it's no shade to Bowsley for that. But
yeah, and in the game, I thought pinholing the Rashida was, definitely was justifiable, right?
Yeah.
Given that price, yeah, because you don't know that it's a second offer in server 2, and like that's basically the only agenda that gets me back into the game economically. From a second Holoman activation. Even Luminal doesn't do that.
Yeah. It would have to be like Luminal into multiple fully ops to really get you back in the game. Yeah, I just want, like, one thing I've noticed is, like, you play this, I want to say more conservatively, but like you build, like, I always play ACID like I have to, like, be scoring on turn 4 at the latest, like scoring, and like I've been really impressed with like your restraint and just saying no, I can build for a couple of turns and then like it's not like it's that much later, but it's turn 7 pushing out and like being a little more judicious with the tempo, which I think has been very interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is one of the slowest games that I played this event. Like I think if you go through like a bunch of my Hoshiko reviews, I play those extremely quickly. And I think like a lot of it is me trying to respect Omakua. I
Mm-hmm,
mean, and
mm-hmm.
I say this because like kind of it's like just like the nightmare rig against
Yeah, yeah,
is literally just one Omakua, right?
yeah. This is
Uh
probably one of the hardest
yeah,
matchups to start the whole event on. Like you have good game against both Hoshiko, and I can see the game. I can see how this deck has performance against World Tree, but like a single turtle and a 4/19 is like such a pain to deal with.
yeah. And like I called out in the write up, I specifically put in the second Mavrys over the third Hedron because of the 4-9 matchup. And I expected
Yeah,
like a bunch of grim in this event.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I might
Uh
just yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I think so. This kind of ties into one of the questions that was raised like earlier in the game, with the Spin Doctor shuffle, where I believe I left the Spin and the Rashida in archives or something like that, and that's because um at that point I already had I believe two Moviruses down installed and like a drafter on the remote. So
Hmm.
like given everything else, I was pretty confident I would be able to get a drafter fire.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And yeah, chat also pointed out like, and actually, I think that's a better reasoning than we maybe got to in the chat. Which we were just like, oh yeah, there's also some ablative barrier synergy later in the game. But like, yeah, just saying, yeah, we can get, you can lock in a drafter fire, and having good cards in archives for drafter is one of the ways you make it very punishing, which is cool. This is actually, I'm looking at an extremely complicated turn for you. Um, it's,
Hmm.
both players at 0. You have to find a way to claw out. If you would, this is also like, man, all three fully ops being in the bottom half of the deck feels bad here. Um,
Oh yeah,
like if you had 5 more credits, the game would just be over. I think, right?
yeah, almost certainly. Is that an echo in the remote?
It is an Ikoa in the remote. Yeah,
It is. Okay, yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
uh yeah, there's a bunch of things that need to balance here. The first is that I evaluate that I'm almost certainly not going to be able to defend this second Mavirus.
yeah,
And secondly, of course, like I've Mendo drawn a Rashida, but now where the hell do I put it, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because it's literally not safe.
Uh,
Like, there's no ice you can put behind this turn that's helpful. I
yeah.
almost
So I mean,
wonder, do you
mhm.
overwrite the Ikoa here to put the Rashida in Surfer 2? That feels like
uh,
that's so committal, but like I don't know.
it's so complicated given that yeah, also because like the second equals already in archive, so you have no chance of
Yeah, yeah.
drawing it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get the second drafter somehow. Guaranteed. Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting line, but it's a bit silly. Uh, man, is it this almost feels like a take 3 turn, which is very odd.
Yeah.
But you're still 2 turns
And
out if you do that, which is not great.
like there is a line to go ablative Rashida.
Yeah.
And I
What?
think
I
that
guess I
would have
don't I
been
don't love
my
that line. I guess it's like that line's totally fine. It dies to like click 1, run the virus, click 2, run R&D, click 3. Oh, I guess you need a credit in there somewhere as Bowsley. And like maybe that's your saving grace here, is Bowsley's also on 0 credits. So
mm,
okay. Spin
okay.
Doctor,
Yeah.
which
The
makes
line here is just dig for a fully up.
yeah, yeah. I that's probably overall the correct line. Yeah, this is definitely unfortunate here. Um,
So I shuffled Hedge and Echo, of course.
yep, yep. Get that value damage off of the virus. See, second card out of R&D, trash the Rashida, and
And
there
there
it
we go.
is. There it is. Yeah, I feel like this is just like like probably Rashida Hollow Man, and then fire the fully up
Yeah,
for credits.
yeah, exactly. Um, so the one thing to take note of here is, and I do pay the 4.9 tax. Yeah, and of course, last thing has to be guard HQ because now we're back into siphon territory.
I almost wonder if you just eat this. Man, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess you do have to. I also wonder if you just overwrite the gatekeeper there.
Um,
Um, because you actually
it's
need
possible.
one additional credit to score the Ikoa.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I was thinking, of course, like
yeah, you're not scoring the Ikoa next turn most of the time anyway, right? You only score the Ikoa next turn if Bowsley decides to take the turn off, and at 9 credits, there's no reason for him to do so. Um,
yeah. And of course, Rashida is if the Rashida fires, it's credit perfect to rest ablative and score Echo.
hmm. Yeah, that's interesting.
There we go.
Yeah. Bravado is not a card you're worrying about here. Comes the remote
And yeah,
drafter. Wow, getting a drafter fire here is really nice.
and get a Mavaris back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of have to let this Rashida go because I can't really defend it. But
Yeah.
the yeah, see, and you see over here, I think I do this like one or two times over the day. I just get the Hollow Man start of turn move to get fully up
Yeah.
value.
Yeah, that's a really nice little line. Is this a draw to gain 4 because we can get the last fully up and maybe no? I think we've already seen hedge number 1.
Uh,
Um,
I think because the win is in the remote, we can
yeah,
just
we don't really need to draw for anything.
yeah.
Yeah, I could maybe see putting the draft on R&D. I'm trying to think what that extra credit gets us here. Um, but like
Uh,
that's such a minor point. Um, yeah,
and yeah, there we go.
nice. Yeah, very cool. All right, I was planning on just doing the corp replays today because I love Asa so much.
Uh,
Uh,
Perfectly understandable.
and also the Ari is going to be like a lot to talk about. So
Sure. Sure. Oh
all
wow,
right, so
this replay was really cursed.
is this the loss in Swiss?
Yes,
Okay, cool. Oof, that is a mulligan. um,
that is a mulligan. It does not get better. Let me tell you that.
yeah, this is like you've had 2 mulligan decisions that I feel like you've gotten like hands that are like they're good mulligans, but they're like hands that you could play out if you drew them, and then you're like mulliganing to hands that I'm like, oh, this is like impossible. Uh, oof, yeah, this is impossible. So this is oh my goodness, can't catch a break here.
Yeah, I think this is just a double hedge fund and pray.
Yeah, pray that motion blur doesn't see the enormous flashing red lights. Uh, and apparently, like as a PSA for runners out there, if you're playing against an ASA and they install nothing on turn 1, run HQ 4 times. You will make 4 points on average, guaranteed. Um,
Yeah, it's true. It's sad
uh,
because it's true.
honestly, if they go install in a remote, click for like hedge fund, click for a credit, you should probably still run HQ 1 or 2 times. There's a decent chance that they have their agenda in HQ. Um, like you don't need to draw the card this turn. You can actually just go and take an extra run on HQ. Um, okay, and
We
we're
can finally play the game.
yep. We're turn 2 and we're starting to play the game. The marks are at least being kind, I say, as it gives up an Ikawa in R&D. That is cursed. Um, Boomerang, Bravado, with one credit exactly to trash this Rashida.
Yeah, this one was brutal.
Oh, here comes a brand, so that's something at least. Can we go off-world and brand, advance the off-world, click for a credit. So we end at 9. Are we? No, we end at 8. So we can't score the off-world if we have to res the brand. Um, I don't know if I might still go for that line anyway, I guess. Because I feel like that's my out here, but
I think what I was thinking about was no way he finds a second boomerang so soon after the first, which is why I
hmm.
feel like it's gambling whether he has the doof or gambling whether he has second boomerang, and I prefer to think that
He's
the
got the
second boomerang
first
is
doof, yeah, rather than the
yeah
second. Yeah, because Boomerang's probably a 2 of, and there's only been like one card. Is this a 46 card Sable? What? Oh, no, the Boomerang went back on the deck. I was like
yeah
so
yeah.
confused for a second. Um, yeah, so drawn one card. What are the odds that there's a second Boomerang? Odds that there's a second Boomerang just got a little bit higher.
Mm.
Powers that be. Okay. So the problem is now with the powers that be trash, this score is very bad.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah. So I like. I mean, you're doing all the right things here. You're just getting so punished, nonetheless. Um, the deck has decided that it is not your day. This is a draw 4, I think.
I don't know about like uh I mean, this playing the fully up here just feels so bad. I just feel like I just have to. If I just click one draw and ice, it can get so much better.
I guess to me, like, we need a bailout here, right?
That's true. That's also true.
So like yes, we can play the full like we could yeah, you're right. If we do draw an ice and there's what like 15 ice in the deck. So maybe
Yes.
your play is correct on the odds here, right? Yeah, there's 15 ice in the deck. There's 33 cards. So it's about a 50-50 chance we see an ice off of the top here. Well, not quite, but actually a little bit less than 50-50. That
So
makes me feel a
13 out
little
of
bit
33.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of why I'm like, okay,
Probably.
if I just play the fully op here, like to some extent, I'm like, okay, the off-world, the Nico, and the Luminal, and this way, like, there's so many ways for this us to start getting back, especially if this like Vitruvius goes uncontested. There's even the over advance to get the fully op back, which kind of looks interesting to me. Um,
Yes.
so, but you know, my first fully op trigger here would be pretty cursed. Um,
Oh, and the double install new remote. That's extremely telling.
yeah, yeah.
And
This is
leaving the whole thing. Damn.
okay,
Oh
so
my
here's
god.
the I so if we had resolved both modes of fully up, we're now at this point in the deck, so we would have drawn the Tatu Bola. And we'd have the thing is like, oh, we'd have 2 clicks left and 1 fewer credit, I think.
Yes.
But we have nothing for the Tatu to swap with, but like that's a future term problem. And like the Nico behind the Tatu I think looks kind of interesting to me.
I
Um,
think you never rest the tattoo into Kurupira if there isn't ice to
Yeah,
swap with, right?
if you don't,
Yes.
yeah, it's just a bluff. But like that is, I think one of the interesting things I found when playing Asa is like just the fact that the ice is there can sometimes be enough to scare people off. They're like, oh, I have to find the
Yes,
tool because I can't afford a draft or hit right now. Um,
exactly.
yeah. Okay. But here you get a much nicer fully up by holding out, and you didn't lose the game. So maybe this is the correct line. Okay. Yeah, like
Where can
motion
jump to?
blur's econ's not in the best spot, so you're not really in the best. Am I? Wait, did we? Oh no, we don't. The Nico's gone. I think I. So Can we afford to spend 6 to get a? No. Yes. Can we
Uh,
afford to spend 6 to get our fully up back?
I think it might have to be the case.
Yeah, I feel like that's okay because you still will actually be able to swap the Tatubola as well, and then res
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Manic Arm. So like it's actually a nice line. Um,
Mm, okay. I can't remember what my justification was for this. For like going to server 4. I think the reason was
Server 4 is like very safe, I guess, and it's just like I you want to get some cash, but I guess also you
yeah.
have there's no good. Well, okay, from my perspective, before you click one to draw, yeah, like this is a hand. Like it's not a hand you're excited to hold, but it's probably a hand you can hold for a turn. Um, but I can also see saying, "Oh, I want to draw like a non-agenda," and like your deck has decided that you're going to draw. What is this? One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 agendas in the top half of your deck out of 9.
Something like that. Yes.
Yeah,
I
and the
can't
opponent just
remember why I
chooses to.
decided against. Oh yeah, yeah. This is like
Yeah.
the easiest read that there's agendas in HQ.
Is this a read?
Mm, I mean, it might. Isn't it probably like probably a pretty delayed one? But I think
Yeah, I guess
it's
there. Yeah, that's true. As the runner, you're saying, yeah, there's got to be agendas in HQ. I have my info bounty mark. I'll have to click back. Like I'm probably, and you get the wake trigger as well. It's not a run I actually love for motion blur, to be honest. But with this, with when your hand is literally 4 agendas and nothing else, it's gonna always pay off, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
and like motion blur really just needs to touch another agenda to win the game. So yeah, so really going for this off world. I guess maybe a good reason to go for this sequence is you can do off world and then still get the Vitruvius with this Hollow Man potentially.
Yeah.
Though it looks like you're just gonna keep scoring out of there for the off worlds. Yeah.
Yeah. So here comes the. And that's GG most likely
Oh yeah,
because
yeah, because you're credit off here. Yeah, this is one of those games where I'm like, okay, like it's really hard to run the what if of like how does this game look different if you fire the fully out for draw 2 and
mm,
then like if you score the Vitruvius because it's very difficult, but like yeah, I don't know, this is also like such a cursed draw that like I don't I don't know if there's any saving this game with any optimization. Um, so
I do wonder about the alternative of just wage workers scoring the Vitruvius.
yeah.
I think that's a more interesting alternative to take than the fully up draw line
Hmm.
because yeah, like I said, I can't remember why I decided against it. I think my line of thinking was that I have 4 agendas in HQ, and if I don't if I don't start trying to push them out into my remote as soon as I can, eventually Motion Blur will roam HQ mark and I will just get destroyed.
Yeah, yeah. It is tricky because I'm like Brand on HQ is probably that's like a great place to have it against Crim for sure though. Um,
Yes.
so okay. Well, that is one of that felt like an Aces stream game for me. Um, All right, so we're up against. And this is. Oh shoot. Da, da, da. Oop. Oh yeah, I didn't say this when you joined. Congratulations on the win. Well deserved.
Thank you
You've
very
been
much.
okay. We're gonna close all the tabs. Reopen this one more time. All right, and we said this was round 7. Oh, but this is not actually round 7. I'm gonna reload the page and then try again. No. Okay.
That's very weird.
Oh, these are actually just the same link.
Oh, huh. Did I did I just submit them wrongly? Okay, let me pull it up and send it to you real quick.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so you played Asa 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then you got an ID in round 10.
Yeah.
Or actually, for some reason or another, the replay isn't there for rounds 1 and 10. That's fine.
Uh, Something I think it's rounds 1 and 5 that for some reason the tournament tab didn't catch it.
Okay, weird. Um,
Let me
Sorry,
see.
I'm going to catch up on chat a little bit. Man versus Tree, can I get the meta updates and solutions, please? I think get really good at shuffling. Learn to play World Tree Wu, Arasana, excuse me. Definitely not World Tree Wu. That's a banned deck. World Tree Ari is a very, very different deck in that it has better cards than Wu did when Wu got banned. Um, Man, the Wu being able to just click generate 3 credits clicklessly from the deck seems pretty reasonable. Um,
It really does. Okay.
uh,
I, yeah.
Um, but yeah, World Tree Arasana seems very, very good. I'm still somewhat high on like 45 card Arasana, but I think, the evidence is strongly pointing towards World Tree being the deck that has a higher payout. Um, I think, despite Hoshiko not doing great, I think that's like a. I think the deck is so fundamentally strong that it's like a couple of card slots thing. Off of it's the like, oh, you have to tune the deck like two cuts this way, 2 cuts that way, and that's kind of to flavor and what you expect. Um, Corpse side, uh, choose a deck that can high roll and pray kind of is where I'm sitting on this. But Jai, you've honestly tested and performed a lot better than I have. So I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on the corpse side of this meta.
So corpse side, so this is all hypothetical, but if I were to play in at EMEA today, uh, I would play uh, I would play something which okay, and this is again like completely separate from the argument of is World Tree Ari a like a meat space deck or a JNet deck, right? Because
Yeah, yeah. If
I think
this is
that
if EMA was in the idealized perfect world where everyone can bring whatever is best without considerations to the real world, like
yeah. I think I play a deck that loses to pinhole threading because that's like the one tech card that Ari can't reasonably play.
mm, yeah, that makes some sense.
Yeah, so
Um,
I don't know like how much like people took into account World Tree Ari during the lead up to APAC, but
yeah,
uh, a lot of people ended up on PD and it ended up super overperforming, and that's like because of 2 factors. I think firstly, the dice to pay no argument as we discussed, and secondly, the related but kind of distinct fact that a PD is a rush deck and uh against like these like Rek Hoshiko and World Tree Ari rigs, you need to have like a game ending plan before the Doom rig gets set up. And like PD like falls very nicely into the middle of that Venn diagram.
I guess actually one question about that from the World Tree Ari side. Actually, I should probably look at your deck list before I ask this question, which is, did you look at all at putting a Light the Fire in the World Tree deck? Um,
So that's an excellent question. And like the like in testing the debate did come up. So it really came down to, at the end of the day, you have three options between Cupellation, Clot, and Light the Fire. You get to pick two of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because everything else is pretty much locked in, and like
Yeah,
you have an
yeah.
extra one influence slot, which I used on No One Home, but there's nothing can really cut to
Did
add to
you?
the No One Home to force
I'm
the
kind of
second
surprised.
influence.
Is DJ Fenris that essential? That's actually the other card that I would look at and be like, can we cut the DJ? Like, we're already a 60. Excuse me. We're almost a 70 card deck. Do we need the DJ as well? But I guess it is kind of just
Uh,
like draw in a lot of cases.
so, I mean, DJ Steve is like the default option. I believe in one of my games, I went for DJ Lu against one of the asset op decks.
Mm-hmm.
And this was after this was after the bones got used up, right? So that was
Yeah, yeah.
my backup bones. Like it just has a lot of
Yeah,
utility
I
for the
guess
one.
I guess that's fair. It's like, oh, Light the Fire is going to help in what, like 10% of PD games, and unless you anticipate the top cut being 50% PD, uh,
You
it's
should
hard
have
to
in
say that
hindsight,
that's
but yes.
yeah, maybe you should have in hindsight, but it's a little bit like that's not something you would predict after PD really flopped at Americas, which is like this. That's
Mhm.
the other weird thing is like PD. I don't, at least from my remembering, did not do very well at Americas, which is just a lot of noise in the signal. I feel like. Um,
Yes.
so yeah,
Uh,
whereas DJ is going to be just pretty generic value.
yeah. DJ also helps one of the problem matchups, which is like just that kind of oops all barriers hyperglacier like
Mm,
20 barrier BTL, right? Because you have like hush for one of the advanceables, but then if they manage to find like two monster ice on every on every server, then we run into problems. But if it ever becomes a problem, you can go like DJ Quetzal
hmm.
and just ignore a tree line.
No, that's cute. No, that's a
Yeah.
really nice. That's okay. Yeah, no, that does. All of these things are selling me on the DJ. So yeah, I can see the like clot cupellation, like the fire choose too. Um, the rest of these I don't think are contestable at all. So um, yeah, I'm not. There's some questions in the chat. They can. I think they've been asking you to write up as well about the environmental testing and stuff. But um,
Okay. I mean, so basically, what happened with the environmental testing was like I think 3 days before APAC, like the king was like, "Yo, I just jammed three three environmental testings into like this deck, and it's been sick." Uh, like he
and
he played he played like
yeah,
4 games or something. Uh, and I could end up seeing it, and I think the question about environmental testing got raised by I think a few people like in and out of tiebreakers at some point. Uh, I think it's a good card. All right. Of course, there are two problems with it. One is that it's like a very definitive end of the tutor chain.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, if that's the thing that you're like concerned about. And two, it's like really bad to draw in the first like 6, 7 cards of the deck.
yeah, yeah. It seems like an odd fit for the deck for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's been some discussion inside Snare Bears about it, and I don't know. I don't remember if Jones was on 1 or 0 for basically exactly that reason. Where like it
Mm.
is really good in certain board states, but it also has some finality, and or like it terminates a chain, so you need to be transitioning to a different one. And then it also like has the I don't really want to draw this problem.
Yeah. It,
Um,
it can get kind of bricky. Uh, and I mean, I think fortunately, I've never had like a true brick situation, but like, I mean, probably even better than I do. Like, like 3 environmental testings in like the reg RE decks with like the gachapon and stuff, and sometimes you still can't get the damn thing off. Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, even
yeah,
more so
because
here.
yeah, it is also like yeah, in those reg RE decks, like you are consistently installing 2 to 3 cards a turn by the mid game, The World Tree
Yes.
decks, I feel like, are more consistently just like I'm going to get my. It's just like a grind one value piece, one value piece, one value piece, and like controlling the
Yes.
board a bit more. So it's like a much longer, a much longer tail, and like yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's
And also,
interesting.
we're not running Urban Art.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes total sense. I could see. Are we on a single? Okay, yeah, we're on two coupons. I like. This was some stuff. So I've been only kind of watching people discuss the World Tree deck. I probably maybe next week I'll actually play it. Who knows? Um, but like seeing the coupons like leave the list and then come back, it's like, oh, this card does a lot of different things the deck wants, and like it's probably oftentimes just a clickless World Tree fodder card, but it can have other
Mm-hmm.
modes, which is kind of cool. But this is what did we say? Round seven, round
Yeah.
yeah, versus Toron. Do you remember what your record? I guess you've
So I
got
just
your
picked up my second loss, so I was 4-2 at
okay.
this point.
4-2, yeah. And it was going to be probably what X and 3 was going to be the bubble.
Correct.
Yeah.
I believe X3-1 made it.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds right. I think in theory, and this is the like, I did some math and I think I had someone double check my math. X2 is supposed to always be safe, and there should usually be an X3 on the that makes it for most
Yes,
large events. Um,
I
so
think that's correct.
But like it gets really weird once you start having both accidental and intentional ties. But oh, apparently Ochakron saying the top X4 made it. Wait, now I need to check that. That would be wild. Oh, because this is also a top 16, so it's like enormous. Oh. Did the oh never mind. Wow, there's been a lot of events.
Yeah,
How many of these have
crazy.
not happened yet? Wow, actually, holy shit. Hey, way to go, people. I'm glad people are enjoying Aesop's. The top X4 made it from the second X4. Wow.
Yeah, there we go.
That tough
Oh,
break on extended strength of schedule. Oh, I'm
oh,
sorry, Otra.
yikes.
that
Oh,
that
damn.
stings. That stings.
Oh, no.
Well, thank you for coming by and having a good joke lined up. Oh, that's really
Oh,
funny.
this. Oh, that's crazy.
That's so wild. Okay, back to the replays. This is a hand where I'm like, if I draw a piece of ice, I keep this, but I have to mulligan because I'm not guaranteed to draw an ice here, right? Uh,
Exactly. Yeah.
it's
You're almost
like
1 in 3 to draw nice.
honestly, I think you could place any card in this hand with an ice, and it becomes a snap keep. Maybe not
Yeah.
the Rashida, I guess,
Rashida.
but
I think even if the Rashida is an ice, you can play with this because of the fully up.
yeah, yeah. You can even just do something like Managarm Ice, Wage Workers, like set, or probably actually at that point Ikawa Ice, Managarm Wage.
Yeah.
Like it's some weird. There's some permutation of that you end up enjoying quite a bit. Um, and you actually chose to keep, which is very aggressive, but it is Hoshiko, so I actually think you probably have a bit of a window here.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think I click one draw here.
yeah, click one draw seems right, and
There
never
we
punished.
go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're doing this was the Managarm here, and then just Rashida. Yeah, that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Just want to play around pinhole threading.
Yeah. No, and this is the thing I don't do enough, and like this is like just install your cards in the opposite order of that you want them to come down, or like flip a coin meant count the digits of pi in your head, and on odds install them in one order, on even install in the other order. Just keep the other person off the tip of your toes, or pick your transcendental number of choice that you've memorized. Um,
Yeah. My favorite tactic is to like snap install the Managarm ice and then type thinking and wait 20 seconds and then put the Rashida in.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
gets them really time.
This is one of those things I've been chatting with some friends lately of like, you know, the there's like lots of tells in like in person there's a lot of tells just from how people are positioning, what cards they're looking at. And it's a little bit hard to see on JNet, but the timing of how you make plays is a huge signal you're broadcasting. And it's a weird
Yes.
thing that like you have to start thinking about that. This is actually a pretty nice. Wow, this is such a nice draw.
Uh, was the, is there a consideration to just go holo luminal, take your 3 clicks back, install Bran server 2?
Oh,
Probably
okay.
not
So the
because
line I was thinking for this turn is just Luminal Brand in server one, like wage workers and like fully op for four. I'm okay with getting some low value fully ops at some points in the game. Um,
that's
but maybe that's
possible.
wrong.
I was thinking because this hand has only one ice, like I don't want to waste it on a double ice server because I have
Hmm.
this folio up. I want to be looking for like a better way to use the folio up, and
Mm-hmm.
if it means I have to give up a 50-50 on this Banha, then so be it.
Okay.
So I do go for the draw here. Uh, I
Yeah, I think
think
I think when you
and
go for this line, that makes a ton of sense. The draw is the important trigger here for sure. The question now is like, where do we put this brand? I guess is the last click. Or I guess okay. The other thing you could do is go for the double head fake of putting the Hollow Man in server two. Uh,
yeah, and I
which
think that's okay. Wait, what do I end up installing here?
you end up
It's the
installing the powers that be in the
powers. Yeah,
Manigarm server,
powers
which is
instant.
okay. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is just a
because
straight up
now I'm
like
set up.
yeah.
Yeah, now I'm set up to holo luminal, right?
Hmm.
And
Oh,
of
right,
course,
because that's just a from hand score combo, isn't it? It's an
yes.
expensive one, but it's one you can use.
I mean, it costs the same as a biotic. It's fine. Yeah, and of course here we see the turn two Exodia.
What? But sorry, are you
Uh,
talking runner side or
yeah, run aside. It's like what I started calling Banha Bones out of Hoshiko.
yeah, 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 yeah? Because you just get to start
When
taking apart everything. Oh, this list is on Zero. That's a card I haven't seen in a hot second.
yeah,
Um,
I was quite surprised. But I think Toron made quite good use of it.
yeah,
Yeah, and then yeah now I just have to like start bunkering down and you know doing like the other acer thing you can do of just clown carring a single remote because of
yeah.
this because of the bones.
I'm definitely wondering about just. Oh, I guess you don't have. Oh no, you have six. Man, I'm wondering if you can just score the Luminal and then like off-world Hollow Man advance, click for some credits or something. But the double Hollow Man does look like a very nice Manigarm reset that's gonna cause the runner to play differently.
Mm.
Um,
This is an imp, which is kind of annoying.
yeah, Imp
Um,
is not the card you want to see here.
yeah, and it's specifically annoying that they hit the awful because I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
happy. Yeah,
I was just about to say like,
because
oh,
I'll
and
be
now we're
happy with
installing.
jamming.
I was like, oh, we're about to install the off world now, right? I'm like, oh no, wait, that's gone. Yeah, just trying to
And
draw a
oh,
non-brand ice for HQ here, I guess.
so we don't find it, then we have to go for Plan B of Holo Luminal and rejamming. And I guess I mean the saving grace is it's credit perfect to still rest the server, right?
Yeah,
And Bones kills Hollow Man. It's fine. We have a backup.
yep. This is why we run two Hollow Man.
Also, notably, Toron imped the Ikawa.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. This was, uh, and they had the clicks for it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's just wrong. Like, no offense to Toron. Like, I think you just have to pay the cost. Like, you're gonna pay it at some point, and you're not at game point yet, so it's actually a much softer time to do it, and you can even run back here, and like they could, Toron could have just like won on the spot, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Freaking another Ikawa and Archives. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah. When you draw twice,
So
Toron knows that there's this, like, has to know there's a spin doctor drawn. Like, that's the only reason you stop drawing it too there. Um,
yes. Okay. So there goes the biotic, and that's the spin. Thank God.
yeah,
Um, oh yeah. This was like my one break of luck this game. His price hit.
yeah, yeah. Pinhole, labor rights, Banhar off of the price. That's pretty good. Okay, and now we're cooking with some gas.
Yeah. So we have some order issues here.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Text on cards is hard. Uh,
There we go. So Mashida.
yeah, this is an unusual Hoshiko build, but it's kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah. So Toronto spends real credit, so it's not to lose from Hoshiko. I think he did this multiple times during the game, which is like a nice efficiency bit. But uh, so so we got another powers, and then like the whole Vitruvius gets me like more
Yeah,
gas from the
that's
fully up.
yeah. This is an interesting one where I'm like definitely tempted to let it sit for a turn so that we can just like pivot to a win immediately and like draw harder. But like
That's true.
it's this is not. I don't think what you did is wrong. It's just like how I would play it differently, I guess.
Yeah, so we had some technical issues here because Toron one was playing on tablet and apparently like what he said was selecting cards from the heap for Steve was like very funky on the tablet. Apparently you can't select
Okay.
like cards from heap or archives properly. I do not know how how he got to the day playing Steve Cambridge and like firing spin doctors and such.
Yeah. Man, so you have, I guess you only have one Vitruvius left that you can score from hand here. So it's not wild that you missed.
Hmm.
Okay, and yeah, any barrier wins the game here, right? But we don't actually have a barrier, but Gatekeeper may as well be an impenetrable barrier. Uh, and
Yep,
that's the
and there
game.
we go.
Nice. Yeah, very nice little game. Um, yeah, no, I like again, like I think this is probably the like I've been so all in on like the cohort, and it's just like cohort's really good, but Hollow Man just gives you these scoring windows that cohort doesn't. And it's a very different board state you're building towards, which is kind of cool to see. And definitely like the powers that be makes more sense because you can't really afford to do more than three ice remotes, and powers that be like Hollow Man works better with that game plan because it's an upgrade. So
Yep.
makes a lot of sense.
So I did test a little bit with the cohort guidance program like way before this. I think it was around the Fight Club time,
Yeah.
the Fight Club finals, and I tried the cohort ASA, and I it felt decent to me, but it didn't feel amazing, and I couldn't really
Mm-hmm.
quantify it back then. But I think I'm more able to explain it now, and that's because I feel like the the Holo Acer feels a lot more like a combo deck. It feels
Mm-hmm.
like I'm playing a combo deck. It's just that it's not like CI where you're just dumping your hand and showing your working and scoring 5 or 7 points in a turn. This is like a combo strung out over multiple turns when you're um pre-installing your combo pieces. Your wage workers, your powers, and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And the cohort is like like an excellent value piece, but it's like kind of not great uh
Yeah,
for
you
that
need
game
you
time
need
because
you need two of them for it to be a combo engine, basically.
yes,
And that's
and
a much
when
bigger
it's sitting on
ask.
the correct, and when it's sitting on the board, you feel compelled to defend it, right? Because it's a turn-on-turn value piece, uh, and I think you can see in a lot of replays that your Asa is like really good at getting at getting things to stick on the board, but it's not really good at protecting one particular thing. It's
Yeah,
like especially against the games where when you're playing into Banha Bones, right? You have maybe 3 servers and they get you get to keep 2 of them, but which 2 you keep is up to the runner,
yeah,
right? They get to pick which server they pull down every turn, and if and that makes the cohort quite inconsistent in terms of like contributing to the game plan. Of course, let's not even forget the fact that uh, cohort is discarding cards to draw cards, and you kind of don't want to be you kind of want to keep all your cards when you're playing a combo deck.
yeah. That's interesting. I hear what you're saying, and like I do agree that this looks like a little bit more coherent than the cohort games did. Um, I think cohort, because you're cycling cards, you get some consistency that you maybe are lacking in this deck because you're like just inherently you're going to draw more of your deck per game. But
Yes.
that has its downsides as well, obviously. Um, but yeah, no, I agree. It didn't feel quite there, and I think like probably spending time on the Hollow Man version, like Hollow Man, I think is the more. If you were to tell me which card was the foundation for a stronger deck, like Hollow Man is clearly the card that should come out a little bit stronger. Um,
Mm.
give me
Between
one
those cards,
sec.
yes, but of course.
Yeah. Give me one second. My office is slowly becoming an oven because the door got closed. So 1 second. All right. I've been asked to open the outside door rather than to bother my lovely wife. So we'll see. We'll hope that all
All right.
goes well. Um,
Okay.
okay. So this is first round of the cut. Did you have side
Yes.
selection for this one?
No, Artisa had side selection and chose to run into Asa.
Man, 9 round. Oh my goodness. This is my. I'm not going to get this change to happen. But my personal one would be let's just get rid of this 16 person and make all events 8. But that's not going to be a success. I think. Um,
Well, I did end up having to play all 9 rounds, and that was a bloody marathon. I can tell you what.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you come in as the 14th seed.
Because I
Climb.
ID'd round 10
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that is like
against
the.
11.
Yeah. Okay, so we are doing. Let me make sure. Yep, and that's that tab. Great. Okay. Yeah, this is. I think a clear snap mulligan, and you don't mulligan into garbage for the first time in any of the replays we're looking at.
Hooray!
That's. I think this is actually the first time we've seen this Tranquility home grid across all of the games, which is wild.
Correct. Yeah.
Um,
I think of the Trank Grid as a like kind of the fourth fully op at home. It's just that it pays
yeah,
out over multiple turns instead of instantly, which is
yeah.
why I'm happy if it's staying at 1, even though it's like really good with like the ablative barrier and so on.
Yeah, it is hard
Um,
to get two of them ticking throughout the course of a game, and you want to have all your draws be like forward in this deck.
yes.
Yep, and I like the
So
drink. Oh, this is okay.
yeah,
This is this is, I guess, okay. Yeah, this line makes sense. It was. It's not the line I would have gone for, but it makes sense.
yes,
Um,
because I can rest both eyes and still get my fully up value.
yeah,
And
and
bones.
hey,
Yeah,
you got the better raindrops cut stone trigger too. It's just winning the die
yeah,
roll. Oh, that's a
and
hand.
oh
We're
yeah.
keeping. Are we keeping this whole hand, or are we shuffling this whole hand back? Let me think
I
before you
think I
answer.
I I think I ship a Vitruvius here. Oh no, I
Okay,
ship and the Equal.
I think shipping them both is okay. The Ikwa maybe doesn't need to be shipped, but uh, it's definitely a little dicey because like the Ikwa actually can't be stolen. It's safe in hand at that point.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Shout out to the turn one Exodia, by the way.
That's what it's what Anarch does.
Yeah.
Um, this is not a bad draw though either. So we've
It
got
is it is not a bad draw, but just check out what happens right after this.
okay. So I yeah, turn. This is a. I think you could go for the luminal score here. I would probably be tempted to. So like luminal drafter server 2, res tranquility install Rashida server 1, fully opt for a bunch of cash. Ah, yep.
Yep. Yep.
Oof. Oof.
Yeah,
Oh
this
man,
this was
that's
a oof.
brutal. That's such a sting. That stings. That really stings.
Yeah. I lose this
Uh,
Nico for free.
oh,
Yeah, it really sucks because it's like so this was really like a 4 credit swing.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
5 credit swing
even more
actually
than
because
that. Yeah, yeah. This is like, yeah, this is a 5 credit misclick.
yeah,
Oh, that's
because I
so.
lose one trigger and I'm forced to rest the drafter because now Artisa isn't obligated to Banha server 2. So I have to
Yep,
rest this drafter on server 1.
yep,
So that's
yep.
5 credits already. And uh
And then you also lose out on the +1 on the Nico campaign itself.
yes.
Um, man, that is like honestly, to some extent, the game may like it would have to depend on what RT draws here, but like that's to me like if it's Rashida and Nico resolving here, you're probably winning most of the time. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, it's just so much free tempo. Um, though with this draw, it would be a little sketchy. Though honestly, this
Well,
draw is not terrible.
I mean, you think about it. If I had 5 extra credits
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
this
That's
board,
true.
I go Holo Luminal and jam another Rashida, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and like maybe wage workers behind the gatekeeper, something like that. But now I'm forced to play like super slow. I
Yeah,
end up
there's a small
discarding
part of me that
Epicureus.
says like you can still play fast because what are they going to do? Run HQ 3 times? Like that never happens. Um, and like just get the luminal down because if you can get the luminal to clear out, like you're in a good spot. But
Yeah, and over here I just keep drawing agendas. It's fine.
yeah, 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 it's fine. Nothing could ever happen. Nothing bad could ever happen. Okay, yeah, this is yeah, luminal hollow man, Nico server 2, Brand HQ. Can we get a wage workers
Uh,
click in there? We probably can. It dies to Miss Bones, which is sad.
so what we can do actually is luminal like we can holo luminal, and then with the 3 extra clicks, wage workers then rest the wage workers and put down the off world in server 1.
Mm. Oh, I keep forgetting this is just a from hand scoring combo. Right, right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. Man, wage workers, what a card.
What a card.
Who knew that you could make a card stronger than Jeeves while having almost identical text? So this is Save the Hollow Man cache. Oh,
Yes.
maybe, yeah. I guess there's an argument. Yeah, yeah, because it doesn't actually save you that much.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, you did use Hollow Man just to get the
Uh,
Ikawa and have the
oh
wind
right. Yeah. Yeah.
find.
Yeah.
Which I was like
Exactly.
starting to do the math on, like I think that actually does pay out, and like so the game's just over, which is like shockingly fast. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. So like this is like the one game which is so I I I misclicked the fully op trigger and lost 5 credits on turn two and uh
and then win on turn
uh
six.
and win on turn six into the turn one Exodia. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean somehow Hosh only has one breaker down on turn six, so like something has gone wrong for them. It looks like the prices just kind of whiffed, but uh, that's going to be how it goes, I guess.
Yeah.
There's probably like
I'm,
you could probably go back and find some angles for the Hosh, but like, yeah, that's something.
yeah. I think this is like the best example of just Hollow Man doing the thing and
Yeah, for sure.
um yeah, I
No,
think this might be just like the best Hollow Man deck in the format right now, just because like Asa is like the best deck at protecting it, and
hmm
your agenda suite like quite naturally your agenda suite and like the supporting cards are quite naturally suited to uh,
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say
just
like what?
in general
Yeah,
supporting the card. Yeah,
like it does fit better in this deck than Seamless does. Like Seamless has always felt a little awkward to me in the Asa decks. But Hollow Man is clearly filling some holes here. This is, yeah. Thanks for letting me go through these replays. These are like very, I don't know, I find them very handy to go through, um, just for me getting an understanding of how this Hollow Man deck works. Okay, now we have Asa versus Deer. Um,
I have to say that was some extremely cheeky banter at the start of the game.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I see.
So
Okay.
so this is my mulligan, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
Uh,
I mean, like this is not a hand I'm excited to play, but I've played worse.
yeah,
And yeah, continuing this trend of mulliganing into garbage, like yeah, I feel like you could do a statistical analysis on like how many agendas you're hitting in your mulligans versus like what the regular distribution of, and it definitely feels like you're on an extreme end of the bell curve here. Um,
it's true. Although on the other hand, I've gotten like a I think also statistically um not likely number of like turn two Rashidas, so I can't complain
yeah,
that
that's fair.
much.
That's true. You have seen. Yeah, it's the only thing that makes this. One of the things that makes this different from one of my streams is you actually have been finding your Rashidas. Um, okay, letting the spin
So
doctor get
multiple,
trashed is actually
yeah,
I like that play quite a bit because there's no reason for you to have discarded Vitruvius this early.
exactly.
So there's really like yeah, that's just a very smart heads up play. Can we go? I'm really trying to figure out which agenda I want to be scoring here. I'm like, because there's part of me that's like, can I just score a blank 3-2 and stay ahead on tempo here?
I mean, staying ahead on tempo like implies that we want to put down these powers, correct? We want to put
Yeah,
down
that's
the
probably
powers
true.
and yeah,
Yeah, so you just slow roll
get
this
like a
a little
Hollow Man
bit
back.
more. Yeah. Yeah. So just get the Nico ticking. We'll get the powers in a future turn. Like this is not you're not trying to rush. You're trying to build to a mid state that gets you somewhere. Um,
So
and I
I
guess
make this Brun rest. I make this Brun rest even though Deer doesn't can't crash the nickel just because I want to burn the boomerang
Yeah, yeah,
and
that
can
makes
probably
sense.
afford it.
Yeah, because you're. I mean, yeah, when D passes here, you're guaranteed click going for +4 next turn, so you're probably in a good spot. Um, yeah, and you can almost like slow roll one of these agendas in like a brand drafter server,
Hmm.
which is an interesting idea.
Yeah.
The draw makes a
So
lot of sense there.
yeah. So I put out the naked powers that be here, which turns out to be a huge mistake because I was like, I mean, like uh Deers on like no crits. What's the worst that can happen? And immediately gets Baya bans away. Uh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think like I might. Yeah, for me, the line I was thinking about was on this mandatory doing something like yeah, double install a drafter brand, like install a Vitruvius and like maybe even or the offworld, excuse me, and thinking about
And advance.
either advancing it or just taking a credit. Maybe draw. Maybe that's why you draw click one. So which is what you actually do. And actually, I still feel pretty fine with like yeah, offworld like drafter brand so that you don't say anything about what's going on in the remote. Offworld into the remote. That's this turn. Next turn, the Nikos take up. You put the powers in the now empty remote, and like continue to do more setup.
Yeah.
Um,
So I don't hate that. So I think why I am happy to okay, so my game plan going into this matchup because I mean of course the deck lists were open. I saw these lists and I saw that they weren't on any turbine, which is why
mm,
my game plan going in was if I can set up a double brand remote, I can probably just push through that for the rest of the game, which is why I end up firing the brand sub for another brand. And I was thinking my plan is to just jam behind that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then uh of course I went and forgot the number one rule of playing against HB is that when they have two brands on a remote server, you just win on centrals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. Just put an Ansel on there. Just you're not coming in. Uh,
Mm.
all subroutines fire on this brand, or it's interesting.
Yeah.
I would definitely be tempted to. Oh, I guess we have an agenda in there now, right? Yeah. Okay. Never mind. um, agenda goes in server one with more support. Gonna slow roll an
And,
agenda there.
yeah. Yeah. And then I have to start scoring up now.
Yeah.
And I really hate doing this without like any like Hollow Man or blah blah blah. But like I've wasted too much time already, and then I just lose on finality here.
Yeah. Yeah. And this finality is quite good. Yeah. Wow. Turn 8 is tough. Um, yeah, this is an interesting one. Like, it's like I'm seeing playstyle differences in how the two of us approach Asa. Uh, but like, you know, I definitely don't think mine are would have performed better over the course of the day. Um, but it's interesting to see with similar tools like the slightly different ways things get taken. Um, but also, yeah, this is like a game where it's just like, oh yeah, Centrals gave it up, and it's hard to beat Centrals
Yeah.
give it up if neither of our lines involve icing Centrals. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Also,
And
like
I think
this random. Oh no, I guess this is a twinning for 3, so it's not random. It's a reasonable dig, but
yeah, I mean in general I think this particular Hoshikoba is kind of well positioned against HB just because like your extra boomerangs are good against contesting early remotes.
yeah,
And
yeah. It's a very like
once the Doom server gets set up, you just finality and explode.
Yeah, it's a very Crim style of Anarch, right? Rather than the
Yes,
very Shaper style that we've been seeing,
yeah, which is
which
a
is
very
kind of a
D
neat
thing to
call.
do. We didn't think about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh, hold on. For some reason, my stream chat just decided to log out. I have no idea if something just broke or not. Uh, cool, cool, cool. Good work. Oh, that's a really annoying thing, but they haven't fixed this bug yet. Uh, sorry for. I'm gonna put everyone on hold for 1 second. uh, shoot. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this a weird way. Let me go to my own stream. Mute myself very quickly. Okay, and then pop out the chat. And Restream bot is still going there. If someone on Twitch wouldn't mind sending a message real quick just to test and say hello, I promise this isn't streamer bait. This is me trying to do tech support live. Uh, it's not just me trying to troll for interactions. Um, okay, I will. I guess I should check on Twitch to see if someone showed up there. Or let's see. And okay, yeah, I'm not seeing. Okay, I'll just pop out both my chats. I guess it looks like, and we'll just. Where are we? Here we go. Okay. All right, so relay is maybe not working anymore, but that is what it's going to be. Okay. So that's that match. I keep closing your deck list, which is what I need. Ari, is there maybe at the end of the stream we'll pull out an Ari game that you thought was really interesting?
Sure.
Okay, so
So
this is a
this
World
would
Tree.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, this ended up being the only RE I played all tournament, which is
Wow,
very
that's
weird. I
that's
expected to see more of
wild.
it. I mean, I played against a lot of Hoshiko, which I expected a little bit, right? Because so just a little bit of an aside on like Hoshiko representation. Like at the start, so at ACC we had like 30 something percent Hoshiko of the entire field, which just is an absurd number.
Yeah.
And I think Hikai on his blog called that out, and I think a lot of, I mean, basically everybody responded to the Hoshiko numbers in their own way, and uh, like notably the very next weekend, which was NENPC, was it? I think it was off the grid. So it was OTG,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
US net, and there was like two Hoshiko in 30 players, and that's like also absurd for a completely different reason.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And like I made the remark back then that we are just watching the Hoshiko play rate pendulum swing in real time, and like I mean, who knows where the thing is going to end up by the time APAC rolls around, and I had absolutely no idea. Uh, but I think like the equilibrium that we're settled is like more or less what we're going to see, because I think we've established that Hoshiko, despite appearances that are contrary at ACC, is still a good deck. We put multiple people into the cut
yeah.
over
Yeah,
here, and I don't
it
doubt
was
we'll
like
see it at EMEA.
yeah, it was like 25% of the field and like almost 40% of the cut. So like it overperformed slightly, as did Arasana. Like those do kind of seem like the runner decks to beat, but also like hey, Essa is still in the contention. You can if you can play Red Crim really well, like you can get there too. Especially as corps tune towards the more big rig style, the stuff that beats big rig, they tend to be a little bit softer to crim aggressive pressure. So
Mhm.
I don't know. it's an open field. I think it's a bit of a smaller field than it maybe was back in like the TIA meta, but not like not as bad as I think I feared. This is
Yeah.
a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
As in, I also
Oh,
say I do basically completely agree.
yeah. This is the actual rare snap mulligan into a one of the best hands I think you can draw. I guess maybe an
Yes.
ice makes it good, uh, and you happen to get there.
Yeah. So I think this is a very easy. Okay, this is a click one draw probably. We go click one draw into Skunk Ablative Rashida.
Yeah,
Although
yeah.
maybe that isn't even necessary because like the RE
Pinhole.
isn't on pinholes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like ablative gets you there like 99% of the time unless they start with they
yeah,
open a propeller.
yeah. There's part of me that's like, do I want to click to draw, or do I want to just go like Rashida, Blade of Wage Workers, like credit or
Mm.
something? Um, but I
Okay,
think
so I
the draw
yeah,
top decking the hedge fund there is a pretty good top deck and justifies the click one draw. Uh,
yeah. There we go. Ablative.
hmm. This is an
So this
interesting one.
hand uh I think it's almost certainly something behind tattoo and then probably holo behind ablative.
Yeah.
Uh, and then click three. Maybe you flip a wage workers, but that's not really necessary.
Yeah, this feels
But
like
either case,
it's
you
like yeah,
almost
to me I think
yeah,
this feels
you probably want to fully
like
up.
this feels like Doctor behind Tatu Bola, install Hollow Man, and just grab some. I like draw though in this matchup where you need to go fast, and it's hard to
Yeah.
draw off the fully up there. Maybe you do put the wage workers behind the Tatu Bola and then install the Spin Doctor with the wage workers click and then fully up. That feels a little bit
Uh,
funky as well.
yes. So the question of where to put what to put behind the Tatibola is interesting. I haven't really fully answered that question myself yet, because in theory, um, you don't want a known asset behind the tattoo bowler because if they decide that they're just happy to let you have the let's say the wage workers for the rest of the game, uh you are never going to get the rest of the tattoo bowler, and like that kind of
Hmm.
sucks, you know. I do pull like a very cool trick of the tattoo like in one of the later games, but that's not just yet. So this is a holo behind tattoo. I think I like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Kat, this is actually, I should probably edit the screen description and put something on here. Hold on. Uh, that this is Jai. Uh,
Hello, everybody.
and you can you remind me of your pronouns just to make sure I have them right?
He him.
Fantastic. Whoop. Let's put that there. That seems like a good spot. Thanks for asking, Kat. Yeah, we're going over Jai's ace of replays from his APAC winning run. Um, so we're into the cut on day two. So okay, yeah, you do Hollow Man behind the Tatubola, Wage
And
Workers behind the
wage.
Ablative, Res the Wage Workers, install Managarm in server two. Oh yeah, Spin Doctor makes sense here.
Okay.
And
Oh
now
yeah,
we're
so
gonna
this is the
fully
line
up.
that lets you gets more draw
Yeah,
with the fully up while
yeah. This lets
preserving the
you.
spin doctor draw.
Yeah, no, this makes sense. And I think it's like for me, yeah, I think this is where I was heading. The exact placement of the wage workers and the like. I don't know if I would have had the Hollow Man. I might have had the Manic Arm down, but like that's a. I think the Hollow Man makes sense as it's the one you have a surplus of at the moment. 3 credits. You are probably fine to just draw two and ask the runner if they want to trash it. They won't. Um, so
Hmm. So it's a little bit of a slow start from Charlie. Um, I can't
yeah,
remember. I did go through the replay there were like some micro optimizations to be had, but I mean we're not focusing on the RE for now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to, while I have you on, I think it's more interesting to talk about the decisions you were making rather than us, criticize. Like, it's very easy to say, oh, this side won, let's criticize the other side. And so I think it's fun, but,
Hmm.
okay, so yeah, getting the Nico down makes a lot of sense. The drafter versus this is actually an interesting one. What's the motivation behind gatekeeper there versus drafter? Like, this is maybe it's too micro of an optimization, but I'm kind of curious.
Mm, gatekeeper versus drafter. Uh, I think so. The thing about gatekeeper versus drafter is like both are like equally as bad against Physerum, but uh, in the case that it's that they don't have a Physerum, then I'd rather have something that ends the run. Uh,
Protecting your asset. Yeah.
yeah, protecting the asset. So, okay, so the thing is, I don't think Charlie ever lets a drafter fire this game when I have a fully up in archives, right? So if uh, if I res a gatekeeper, it's more likely that Charlie just lets it go,
Hmm. Because he
as
can't
opposed
afford.
to
Well, that's interesting. Because, like, to me, when I see the simul chip on the board, I'm like, okay, the Physer, like, this is breaking. This can break my first two Physerum targets potentially.
hmm, I mean that's fair, right? So but because the thing is like this Ari deck like only has one 5-0, right? And you have to
Yeah,
commit a
yeah,
tutor for it. So uh either you commit a tutor for it and that slows down like the rest of the rest of the train, or or you let the ice fire. And I think like as the core player, I'd rather I'm more happy to uh, to rest and ice and actually let its subroutines fire, so to speak, right? Because the gatekeeper is not a must break on the turn it's rest. It's like really good for the corp, but it's not like game endingly bad if you pull like as opposed to a drafter when you pull a fully up back. And so like uh therefore the drafter will force a Physerum bypass, but that means that I don't get my Nico.
hmm yeah. I guess I would
So
think like, oh, maybe we get the getting. I might want to trade losing Nico for a Rashida fully out back, but um, like if Charlie runs and if Charlie has a Physerum, I guess it kind of doesn't matter which I install. I guess having the drafter on the board is a little bit worse. Whereas like you can draw into the virus to set up a future drafter on your score. Like drafter can actually be part of a scoring remote for ASA, which is kind of funky.
mm,
Um, but
yeah, so because if I rest the drafter, I like the drafter never fires and I lose the Nico anyway. If I if I rest the gatekeeper, there's a good chance Charlie just says, you know what, this is not worth it. This is not worth slowing down my game plan to deal with. I'm just gonna let it fire, and that
that's
gets me
fair.
my gatekeeper fire and my Nico.
Yeah, that's actually okay. Now that I actually listen to what you're saying, rather than trying to phrase my point, you're making a very good point. Um, so thank you for explaining that twice for me. Um, yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. Then the gatekeeper will resolve. Drafter will probably never resolve, or if it does resolve, it's because Charlie's in such a desperate situation uh, that you're probably winning anyway. Basically.
Mm. So go
Uh,
quad installs, yeah, and then draw.
yep.
So
And
that would
then yep, use Coalescence World Tree. So this is turn 3 that Runner is online.
mhm.
Um, feels about right. Maybe a little slow, but
So probably I go for Hollow Man here.
yeah, Hollow Man makes a lot of sense here. Interesting. I could even see myself greeding for the Hollow Man triple advance into Vitruvius, like just full greed mode.
Oh yeah.
Full,
Okay, so I
full
have done the
goblin.
triple I have done the triple Vitruvius counter before. Uh it is a hell of a power trip, but I felt like I didn't really have that like the I couldn't really commit the resources at this point with the
Interesting.
World Tree bearing down. I think that was like pretty valid also. That being said. Okay, I tell you what. I think again, and this is probably for the best, right? I think if I was on stream, I would have done it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Charlie misclicks and misses a World Tree trigger here, but it's we can't really take that back
Because it's after this,
because
after the seeing the card in R&D. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is brutal here for sure. Yeah, I mean that just feels like that's enough to kind of spiral the game here.
Exactly. If he has 4 more credits here.
Yeah, I mean Charlie doing the responsible thing and saying, "Well, I can't win now. I just have to hope to YOLO it out of R&D." Uh,
Mm-hmm.
which, like, unfortunately, like you can stop somewhat easily, and also the Tomb of Viruses can pay out here too. Um,
Exactly.
oh, that's interesting. Did you not have a? Oh, I guess with the Ikawa, you probably don't have a scoring line.
I mean because the echo is like extremely safe in server 2, and I can like for example, if I draw a biotic, I can score it whenever I want. Or even then I can probably even leave it in the server and score and like follow Vitruvius my next agenda. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can just hollow Vitruvius, the hollow man Vitruvius score from hand, and then
Yeah.
score the Ikawa. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. So the only other difference I would make is I'm like, okay, we're at 18. Can we just go like Bran and Cell on R&D? I guess click
Yeah.
for three
Uh
Bran and Cell on R&D, which is what exactly what you do. Or you choose different ice, but I think you probably chose the slightly better ice. Um,
so overclock by Zerum. So this is like only bad if it hits the Vitruvius.
hmm. I wonder if I get the. This is like one of those like I would need to play the World Tree RE deck more to know whether you're supposed to get the Buzzsaw there or the Cleaver there, um, or even just like an Echelon. Um, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, anyway, so we just hollow we hollow Vitruvius, and importantly, we keep we use hollow instead of biotic, just so Charlie has an additional target to go on.
yeah. All right, here comes the Cleaver down. Makes sense. Saren comes back to hand. Trash
Yeah,
that Hollow Man. It's not enough. There's another Hollow
yeah,
Man.
yeah. So we're just wasting his time
T400's
here.
yeah, yeah. An odd choice, but yeah.
Okay, so T400. Listen, we looked at this after the event, and like the only conclusion we could draw is like Charlie was just teching for himself,
Yeah, that's
aka
probably
the only
fair.
way playing Kool-Aid.
Though I feel like if he's second for himself with World Tree Ari, there's got to be better tech. Like, some no one homes feel like they would do just fine against that deck.
Yeah, yeah. It is an interesting slots issue.
Yeah.
I do like the air blades, and like just a tidbit over here. Like I mean, we went through so many like considerations. It's like was there anything better than air blades in like that hardware fodder slot? I mean, there were so many things. We tried like Mache, we tried Gerber Selassie, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Cool.
so many
Uh,
options basically.
yeah. No, I mean, this is the weird thing about having an infinite tutor as your deck. Okay, so next up we got Mr. Styx's lower final, or like lower
Yes,
semis.
I
Um,
think this is my favorite game of the tournament actually.
okay, fantastic. Oh, this is a no. This is okay. I was gonna say this is a borderline keepable hand, but then I looked at this hand for another second and went, no. I just say that because it has Rashida in it. Um, whereas this hand is definitely playable. This hand's definitely playable.
Yes.
Yeah, this is probably even just gate Hollow Man the gate Hollow Man Gatekeeper off-world office. I'm trying to decide you can
Yeah.
advance the off-world office. You can't, but you just click for
There's
a
no way.
credit. No
Yeah.
way. Yeah. Oh, and Tatu Bolo is actually great.
It's still good. Oh,
Click to draw I like because you don't actually have an off-world office pushed this early, so
yeah.
uh,
And we're not threatening a mix, so there's no point to there's no point to click for credit unless we do here because there's nothing better to do.
yeah, yeah. I'm kind of curious what was the thinking on like I feel like I've seen more Ansel or more mix than Ansels lately. So what was the reasoning behind going the direction you did?
Okay, so uh, I have like 10% of the reason and then the 90% of the reason. So the 10% of the reason is that because I think I have a bunch of eyes that I want to stick on my remotes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and these are all like the two and three cost eyes, which are cost less tempo to rest. So
Yeah.
when I want a big ice, I want it to be good on centrals and like specifically R&D. And like the thing is like Mick is like pretty bad on R&D because
Mm-hmm.
a lot
Yeah,
of
you have to
times,
blind fire
especially
it. Yeah.
yeah, and when it's rest, sometimes they can just disrespect it and run last click, and then you're only getting like 3 credits of value from a 6 credit ice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In terms of cost to break, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're not stealing an Ikawa ever then, which seems okay.
Hmm.
But
Uh,
but yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
And what was
So
the
the
other 90%
the,
or eighty
the other
percent,
ninety
whatever that
percent of the
number
reason
was?
is yes. So the other 90% of the reason is if it's good enough for soccer, it's good enough for me.
That's pretty fair. That's pretty fair. Yeah, maybe a rationalization is Ansel never gets broken for less than 3, and Mick often gets broken for 2. Uh,
Hmm.
that's a good Rashida.
Yeah, won't complain about that one.
Yeah, it's hard to complain about Rashida into Rashida.
Yeah. So we have to double ice it because of the Banham.
Yep. There is part of me, and like you don't, you're. This is the Goblin Jeff of like, what if we just put an off world in server 1? There's no way Mister Sticks check server 1, but like there's absolutely also there's no reason to make that play when we just win with the Rashida in the remote.
Yeah,
Uh,
and of course, we get hit with the turn two Exodia again.
oh, interesting. I don't think I'm shuffling any of these cards back.
Um, so my logic was I am looking at another Rashida Fire this turn as well as two more fully operational hands. So
Mm,
uh I'm confident of being able to draw into more agendas. And plus,
that's
like if I
fair.
don't shuffle, I stay at 8 cards, and like the Rashida goes off, I go to 12 cards in hand. There's no way I'm clearing all of those.
No, we'll draw wage workers. No cap. No. Or no cope. Yeah, no, that's a good reason. I might think about holding the Rashida for a turn and just going something like powers the
Oh, hold the Rashida. Okay.
like
Honestly, that might have been a good play. Also, I didn't consider that in the moment.
I mean I don't think it's correct. I think your line's probably correct. Yeah, and you just draw right into them anyways. Because you're drawing roughly 1 million cards. Uh,
Roughly.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Buzzsaw comes down. That is sort of the punish.
So Sticks gets a bit through this. And I think this is a good example of how you're supposed to play against like the Banha Bones Exodia. It's just you have to present multiple targets and like build your game plan around those that they let you keep.
Yeah, yeah.
So in this case, yeah, so I have a powers, I have a wage, and like the game goes differently based on which one that Sticks goes after, but you have to have a plan for whichever case it is.
Yeah, so this is almost like to me this is a off-world ablative on server 2. Probably advance
Yep.
the off-world once and then like throw the second powers the B out. But the fully op also makes a lot of sense here. And now you don't even have to do that advanced line, but like the advance is much safer.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where we do the Acer thing.
Oh, where you get to get the Manning Arm here? That's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is the cool thing against these like both World Tree and these Hoshless is they have I feel like they struggle with Manning Arm a lot.
Yes.
At least in the first couple of turns. In the end game, they can ignore it, but like,
Yeah, so like this like lets me get like the full amount of disgusting value out of this wage powers off world.
oh, but you don't play the fully operational here. You could have played the fully operational, installed the agenda off of the powers.
That's true. But I was thinking of get like I mean my logic was just powers the Rashida
no,
back, Tatu Bolo on top,
no,
and then you can fully up after that.
you're completely correct. It's just a okay. Here is the actual sicko line: Biotic hedge fund fully op for another set of wage workers clicks.
Oh my god.
And then you get
Okay,
to also
that is
put the Rashida back in.
maximum greed. Holy.
Just CI things.
Yeah, okay. This is how you know you're talking to an eternal player.
No, I'm not playing VLCs, so no. I mean, that is actually basically a VLC that you're resolving there. It's a very expensive VLC. I mean, that said, the downside of that line, right, is that you're giving up the biotic labor for like value, which is a weird, not an exchange that you love most of the time. Especially because now you can still just, yeah.
So this is important. Sticks goes for a last click triple twinning run. After
Oh, I missed
the
that was a
Rashida.
triple. A last click triple is the one time I'm okay with my opponent doing a last click or doing a triple access out of R&D.
Yeah.
I
And
this
it's-
is a I
It's
want to
critical because pay attention to the next 3 cards I draw.
okay, hold on. I want to look at Mr. Stick's turn. I know I've been trying to avoid doing criticism of opponents. I guess we're drawing for the pinhole here, which is fair.
Yeah.
I just don't know that you twinning here. But maybe you do. Maybe you do. I guess you do because if you like, yeah, if your next 2 cards are Ikawas, like you probably just lose. But if your next 2 cards are off-world Luminal, which is like a totally reasonable thing, like that actually does win you the game as the runner. So I'm guessing Hollow Man, fully up is going to draw us an Ikawa. Yep. We're going to draw again because we want an actual card. We're not drawing anymore. Oh, because we're just going to throw the Ikawa in server 2.
Yeah,
Interesting.
So my thinking here is because after scoring this Echo, I can just get another powers.
Yeah.
I can get another powers for another Rashida, and then that draws me my last agenda. So I don't want to risk introducing new cards into the game with a twinning active.
Okay, I guess my counterpoint would be those new cards are probably already in. I guess it's more total cards in the game. I just generally,
total cards.
Yeah, I tend to like my odds with more total cards because, like, yeah, the powers of the bee can go down here, right?
But I end up drawing the Lumina, which this is like the most sickle turn of the tournament.
Yeah, just a casual, probably like not 12 click turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, only a 10 click turn as
Only
the
a 10
corp.
click turn. Yeah.
Okay, Cleaver Buzzsaw is down, but it is much too late for that. Um,
And like so the magnet that I drew as well ends up getting a lot of value because like having the last ice in hand lets me both rest the Brand and have enough credits to holo Ikawa the next turn. And of course Styx knows that the
yeah,
holo Ikawa is Celadon.
yeah, nice. Yeah, it's interesting because like for me, when I'm looking at this turn, where are we here? Yeah, this turn. Wait, no. Okay. Twinning comes down. We see the two accesses. Here we go. Okay. Two accesses. So here, I'm saying, great. I need, like, I'm pushing for the second fully out because I'm like, I want to get closer to the win. I think your logic of, I'm already winning, let's just get the Ikawa scored, get that out of the game, makes sense. I'm just always like, oh, I want to get the tempo, and like if I can just throw a barrier, though I guess there's not that many barriers left in the deck. It's like one ablative left in the deck, I guess. Maybe two. Yeah, one ablative and one brawn. I guess a draft on HQ is also you don't mind but yeah, that's an interesting difference. And again, I think this is why you are APAC champion and I am a scrub streamer here. But it's an interesting difference.
I don't hate the second fully op draw there. I just
Yeah.
my thinking in the moment was like if I don't draw an agenda in the top in the next two cards, it's fine because this fully up sorry
Yeah,
this
because
Ikawa
you'll get the
scroll will get
Rashida
me
fire off of
yeah
the powers.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, and that
yeah
makes a lot of sense. And this is maybe like also me coming from a version of the deck that can't fire Rashida after every agenda score, right?
mm,
So there's a mental model switch that I need to make when thinking about the tempo of the deck.
yeah yeah. Also because like one pinhole's already been used, so I'm not going to be playing around the second one.
Yeah, yeah. I am glad we found a good biotic sicko turn nonetheless. Okay, very cool. So we have one game left to go over,
Yes.
which is the final
Grand
game
final.
against D,
Yes. Uh,
the run back.
oh, this was extremely stressful. I tell you what. and
Yeah, I would
I think
imagine so.
the Twitch chat was feeling it as well. Like, oh gosh, that last turn. God damn.
Yeah. I'm actually. I'll admit to going into this completely blind. So, like, I obviously know the results, but um, this is a weird choice on Keeper Mull.
Hmm.
It's a pretty slow
Uh,
hand. It's a
yeah,
pretty
and I think I
slow
need to go
hand.
faster. I need to go
Yeah.
faster against and wow. Okay, this might be like the best open hand, like the best open I've had all tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. This might be. D is on what, two pinholes?
Two
I would
pinholes.
assume. So I think it's like Hollow Man, Bran, Rashida, click for a credit. Uh, is probably my sequence
Uh,
here.
yeah, that's very reasonable depending on the open. Okay, never mind. It's just
Never mind.
Rashida Magnet.
Yeah. It's just Rashida Magnet. Yeah, click to draw makes sense when this is your sequence. Yeah. Um, yeah, so
Banha, of course.
half of Exodia is on the board. 13 credits. Yeah, this is one thing I wonder if this is the thing that Hoshikos are going to need to do to fix their, like, improve their matchups across the board. Is, like, not playing Dirty Laundry means they have more of these credit vulnerability windows And so I'll be interested to see how those line up. And like I think there's been good reasons to cut the laundries, but there might be good reasons to start putting them back in. Um,
I can get on
uh,
board with that.
okay, I'm missing what the installs are here. I'm definitely looking at like my virus behind a drafter here. But you're doing a very reasonable Hollow Man behind a brand,
Yeah.
and then
So I'm
Mavirus
I'm
behind the
sticking.
magnet. Yeah, these are all
I'm,
reasonable. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sticking to my original my game plan from the first game of, if we get to double Bran and Gem behind it, that usually gets there. Now, the question now is, we need to generate enough. We need to generate enough resources so that we can rest double Bran without losing on centrals.
I think Zodia turn 2. Let's go.
Yeah. So obviously no rest here into the raindrops.
Really? Even one that's potentially lethal?
I mean, I don't think
I
D
guess I
makes
guess
his
D would
play.
spend one click, right? D has to spend one click for it
Yeah,
to not be a
yeah,
lethal. I don't
yeah.
know. That seems yeah. So it's they spend a click to draw 2 and make it through. I want to look at their. I'm gonna cheat and do. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Definitely not doing any post hoc analysis. uh, yeah, it's funny. This is against envelopment. You get the kill. So everyone
That
pack
is
envelopment
correct.
as your raindrops host tech. Um, and bones, what a card. Um, I mean, okay, this feels like Hollow Man. I am really tempted to go Hollow Man Bran and then Mavirus Drafter. So you make your double brand with a
Um,
Hollow Man in it, and then Mavirus Drafter, and just hold the fully out for next turn.
I think that's reasonable. So,
Okay, but I think your play is the more principled one. The thing that's shocking to me is that you're not installing the Vitruvius.
uh, so my play here is what? Gem the skunk? Oh, Gem the
Tranquility.
crank. Okay. Right, right.
And like I can see there's some world where you're like, okay, if D just like triple clicks through the second brand, like they're in, and they're probably not winning the 1 in 5 on HQ. It just feels very like tic tac value, which I don't know is where you want to be on this board state.
Yeah.
What viruses is D's deck on? Fermenters, I guess.
Uh, Leech.
I
Yeah,
don't think
D
you
D
charge
was
this.
is D was a
Oh, I guess you can
uh
charge this with virus if you run HQ this click.
chooses to run R&D instead, which I don't have any strong feelings on. Uh,
Yeah,
I expect
yeah.
that D
All
was
right.
probably thinking that that's a if D is expecting that that was a Vitruvius or whatever agenda in server two, then it makes sense to run R&D because HQ should be clear of agendas.
That's fair. I guess I always liked running HQ because I feel like it gives me more information about their range. Um,
Mm.
but I'm not sure that's actually even true. Yeah, I like this getting the single Vitruvius counter.
And holding the virus in HQ,
Yep,
importantly.
yep. No reason to give up an upgrade here. So yep, I like this a lot. Yeah, your play here has been, you know, very natural to me.
So the goes for the second run. So this on this
Yeah,
raindrops run, of course Banha through the first Bran and yeah,
yeah,
kills my Rashida here.
yeah, and that puts
Yeah,
you actually in a
so
pretty tricky spot. I
yes.
wonder if it's just like wage workers click for 2. I guess you're not shields down here.
Yeah. So I did take some time to think on this. This was like extremely a difficult decision for me because I know if I get triple advanced distance retrievers, like I am technically on game point because of this Ikawa.
Yeah.
Uh, and then it's a question of generating enough credits to advance this thing 5 times without losing the game on centrals, which I know the finality is coming, right?
Yeah. I
Uh,
guess I'm actually quite surprised you didn't get the Managarm down here as well.
so
Did you
I
just feel like
didn't
it
get the
wasn't
mana.
needed?
So so importantly, because D saw the Manigam on top of the deck last turn and left it for the Maw trigger, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
know they know. So I know they know that I have like Manigam in my range.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I calculated that I needed the Trank value for next turn.
Wow. This is the difference of like fivesing credit values versus knowing them. This is interesting where it does feel like if D ran HQ a little bit more often than they ran R&D, they'd be in a very good spot this game. I don't know if they had the wrong read or if that's some post hoc analysis or like,
Okay,
some results based thinking.
uh, so what happened actually is because on the turn I scored the second retrievers, I went to exactly 2 credits. I think uh, D put me on having ablative
Both
HQ
on
at that point.
HQ. Yeah, yeah. I feel like at a certain point you
But
just yeah.
what actually happened is that I ended up having ablative in hand, which leads to a very interesting line, potential line, I should say, later on.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
So
wow,
this
this
is
is
a
a
6 card
five,
access.
yeah, 6 card
Six
access.
card.
Holy smokes, that's tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
giving up
this was
4 points in
terrifying.
six is okay.
So we're
Wait,
going for another single because 2 cards are known.
yeah, yeah, and another card trashed. Wow, that's a final sequence. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Okay, and so this ice is the ablative, so that you can get Rashida down to do some resing, I guess.
Yes. So what happened on the second last turn was because so I went Manigam for trank value, and
Yep.
then ablative over top. And I was doing a lot of captures because I had to assume that D had cleaver or boomerang access, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I have to cover this brand to protect it from Banha.
Yep. So you have 4 credits ready to invest there, and you can go to 0 because D is probably not getting through that server multiple times.
Yes.
Um,
So the idea is right if D has the solution to challenge the remote, because in theory you can go um, click one install cleaver, click two run, and make me rest ablative and skunk, and they can't get in, but that's okay because I go to exactly 0 credits, and that buys them another turn.
yep. Yep. Yeah, that makes
Uh,
sense.
but but the line here, my defensive line here is actually if they have the boomerang or the cleaver,
Yep.
uh, I can go I can go rest ablative, right, to tank the Banha. Of course, we pull a Rashida from archives so that we have enough credits to score next turn. And then my Acer trigger installs the second ablative on top of that Rashida. So if they go on that Rashida, I can whack another Rashida into server one.
Oh, okay. Right, because this is click 1, install tool to solve. Click 2, run on server 2. When you do the ablative Rashida, you're assuming that they will not be able to make it all the way through. They'll call that the Manic Arm is in server 2 and they'll jack out early rather than commit all the way through.
Yes.
Go after your Rashida because that's the thing that would allow you to score. Then that would be click 3.
Yes.
They
So the
should.
thing is, it doesn't beat Cleaver because they will have just
Oh,
enough
right, right.
clicks.
But
It
it
does,
beats
but it beats
Boomerang.
Boomerang.
Yeah. And
Yes.
if D installs Cleaver click one, then you can commit to the ablative for like a spin doctor. Or actually, the spin doctor's not in archive in play yet. You probably can just do a similar play, and it's just less. You just are waiting an extra turn, or maybe even think
Yes.
about putting the second manic arm on R&D because that's where the lose is. But that seems a little dicey. And yeah, wow, seeing. I mean, like D didn't access that many total cards this game, so it's not like a wild miss or anything. But especially with like three agendas out of play plus one in hand that they wouldn't know about. Um, so
Yeah. So I think the odds weren't amazing, but I mean they were definitely.
yeah,
I feel like it was about like 40 to 45% to lose on that finality.
yeah, yeah. That sounds roughly right. Very cool. Well, Jai, thanks so much for coming on. For, impromptu, me just saying, "Hey, I like to do this," and then saying, "Oh, I'm going to go live." So thanks so much for hopping on.
Of course,
It's
it's
been,
always a pleasure.
it, yeah, it's been wonderful talking, and thank you so much for sharing your insight. And I look forward to seeing what you have planned for Intercontinentals.
Yeah,
So
that's in what, 2 weeks time? Okay. Yeah, well,
yeah, I believe
time
so.
to get started prepping for that. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, yeah, just enough time. All
Yeah, I
right.
mean, thanks so much for having me. Always like talking about Netrunner.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, and thanks everyone who tuned in. I will let me check my calendar before I promise being back next week. But next week I plan to be back and actually playing some Netrunner live. Though personally, I think talking through replays is maybe even more interesting and informative. But it does look like I actually there's a chance I might be streaming on a different day next week because I would like to get back to streaming a bit more and making stuff. Um, for those of you, and Jai, you've been helping out with this as well. Uh, yeah, I've been
Oh yeah,
doing the
yeah,
like
cool.
throwback cross year worlds competition that's coming to an end. Might be done by next week. It's a little unlikely, but it might be. So I might do a little recap of how the Swiss for that went before I go and figure out the logistics of recording the top eight. I kind of want to do that in person, but that might involve flying people to New Hampshire. So we'll see. But
Oof. All right.
anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks again to Jai for coming on, and I'll put a link to your YouTube channel, which has some great stuff on it that people can go check out. And
More
people
stuff
should
coming
definitely,
soon, I promise.
yeah, that's I look forward to it. So thanks everyone, and have a good night.